Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very interesting show. And hit subscribe right now because I'm going to talk about a lot of things most people aren't addressing. To my super chat, thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams, and I appreciate your support. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding, so the live stream is extremely important. The super chat is extremely important in the live stream, and I thank you for supporting my work. Eric, H526, Luke St. Martin, to the best moderators in all of YouTube, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to read a USA Today article. And this USA Today article is interesting because it's pretty much the same template. It's pretty much the same exact template as every other article disparaging the Arizona recount. It's basically saying any suspicion is unwarranted, so you cannot have suspicion. This is a battle. Media has become not a quest for truth, not a quest for knowledge, reason, logic, truth, that, if it's detrimental to the Democratic Party, they would still focus on it. They wouldn't suspend the New York Post's account right before November. Mike Pasqua! Mike, thank you so very much. Thank you, sir. Mike Pasqua, for starting it off. Thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated, Mike. I hope all is well. Hope you have a fantastic and safe and wonderful weekend. Mike Pasqua, thank you. There used to be a time when you could look at 2000, the year 2000, and you could see on television, whether it was Peter Jennings or Sam Donaldson or David Brinkley or Ted Koppel, they wouldn't care. They simply wouldn't care if Beverly, hello, Indy, hello, Melissa, hello everybody. Mike, thank you again. They simply wouldn't care if Bush wins or Gore wins. If Bush won or Gore won, because there was a moment that they didn't know, obviously, in 2000. There was actually a while that they didn't know. So, but these were complete, even like Wolf Blitzer. Like CNN didn't have a preferred candidate. That's the point. There was a moment in time prior to 2016, everything changed in 2016. There was a moment in time where media did not care about the outcome of a presidential election. They did not care about the outcome of, they didn't care even if you believed what they were saying. They just reported the news, and there was very little spin, and there wasn't this endless effort to suppress emotions. So if a news story, whether it was a news story detrimental, let's say Oliver North was testifying, well, you know what? People were suspicious. Then you had Bill Clinton testifying, and people were suspicious. Oh my goodness, they never trusted me. I don't know why. What is his? People were suspicious of both left and right. People had reasons to doubt the official narrative coming from Republicans or coming from Democrats. And there wasn't this effort, this endless quest by news organizations to try to either suppress suspicion or promote suspicion. Okay? It was more along the lines of, hey, there's this news story. Even you look at even the Clinton email case. I look back and say, oh my God, I look back and say, well, at least they reported on it. They didn't level any suspicion at Madam Secretary, but at least they reported on it. At least they didn't suspend publications. At least they were able to do that. And it's important to kind of acknowledge or be aware of the immense media bias. They're pushing for one political side. It's not hyperbole. They've become a mouthpiece, or they've become an extension of one political party. And so when you have 4 years of media sowing doubt and promoting suspicion and claiming that Trump was an illegitimate president. You have 4 years of endless discussion about how Trump could have been installed by Putin. You then create a scenario where you have recounts in different states, because when half of the electorate doesn't trust that Trump won fair, defeated Clinton in a fair manner, when you have half the country believing that Donald Trump was installed by a foreign government, by a hostile foreign nation, you're then going to have, and the big issue is that it was a complete fabricated hoax. They found nothing. They never indicted, they never charged, they never went after Trump in a court of law for either being a Russian intelligence operative or colluding with Russia, or anything to do with his tax returns, or anything to do with pressuring Zelensky into investigating Biden. They impeached Trump. They had a Mueller probe. They are now indicting his CFO. They're trying in every possible way to prevent him from running again and to harm everyone within his vicinity. But they can't get him personally because he's not a criminal. If he was a criminal, if he was guilty of all the things that they accuse him of, then they would have indicted him. They would have charged him in a court of law. But they can't do that. So they have to go after everyone around him. Okay? With Madam Secretary and her servers, you could have simply stated that there was intent to use the servers, which, of course, there were. You don't unintentionally use servers for 4 years, and you don't unintentionally put top-secret intelligence on those, or, transfer top-secret intelligence. But they didn't want to go after Madam Secretary. And then when Comey wrote his letter, it was yet another example of an almost certain cover-up. You don't just suddenly find classified data a week before the election, a week before November. Okay, so now we'll finally get to USA Today, but I gotta preface all of this. These are important segments. I know when people say, "Oh, here we go again, another article disputing the 74,000 vote discrepancy that cyber ninjas and Arizona Republicans found," and it's like this is a public relations. These articles disparaging the Arizona recount are meant to get people not to believe any of the results or the revelations or any kind of information they obtain, or any kind of new information about the official tally or official results that Arizona Republicans discover. It's not about journalism. It's about trying to convey the following message: How dare you do exactly what we did to Trump for 4 years? How dare you sow doubt or suspicion? How dare you create a climate where people don't trust the official numbers or results, which is exactly what they did from 2016 until today with Trump. Their whole thing is, do not treat us in the manner we've treated you. Mike Pasqua, thank you again. Don't treat us in the manner we've treated you. That's their entire, that's what all of this is about. So I'll read you. Fact check. Arizona early votes falsely cited as evidence of misconduct. Okay, how do they come up with this? Let's look at this. The claim, more than 70,000, counted in the county. Arizona were never sent. That's not exactly the claim. So that's not exactly the claim. More than 8 months after President Biden won, false claims of widespread misconduct affecting results continue to appear on social media. They have to use the word widespread because there have been numerous examples of misconduct found. When they use the word widespread because it's legalese. Their goal is to say, well, sure, you're always going to find anomalies and bizarre occurrences and incidents, but not as many bizarre occurrences or bizarre incidents like we've seen. So I don't remember a year where we've seen so many weird things take place, from like thefts, these bizarre thefts that have in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia. There are these bizarre thefts alone. Like you have to ask yourself, if the tables were turned, would the FBI be on the case immediately with all these bizarre thefts? But anyway, the latest narrative targets an ongoing audit in Maricopa, Arizona, home of Phoenix. The subject, stunning. So they use a Facebook post, and their whole thing is, oh my God, you're believing things that aren't true. Meanwhile, they spent 4 years saying that Trump worked with Russia. Dan, thank you. So they say they spent 4 years claiming Trump worked with Russia, which was false, and then they're completely flabbergasted and stunned that anyone would believe a Facebook post. Furthermore, this is what I don't understand also, really quickly. I have never seen this obsession with trying to convince people that your vantage point is right. Like, from a journalistic perspective, you should or just from the perspective of a political party that's trying to gain votes. One of the things I love about Trump is he doesn't care if you vote for him. The man does not care if you believe anything he says or if you vote for him. Democrats are petrified if you have if you don't believe them, and they're like completely horrified and stunned and insulted if you don't believe everything they say, and they feel the same emotions if you vote for Trump. It's like we live in a world now where there's such an emphasis on controlling information. Sharon Quitney too, hello Sharon, keep up the good work. Thank you so very much, Sharon. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Sharon. Greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Have a wonderful weekend. I don't understand this obsession with trying desperately to convince people to to live their lives a certain way, or to view the world a certain way, or to view politics in a specific manner. What would it matter when they say, well, there's a lot of misinformation? Okay, then you need to do a better job at communicating your accurate information. Well, people are believing these things. Yeah, people are believing these things because they don't trust you. They don't believe you because of your actions. See, the one thing Democrats and morally superior liberals and wonderful, oftentimes apoplectic Democratic voters what they don't realize is that people believe Trump and don't believe them, or people would rather have Trump than their candidate because of the good things that he's done and also the missteps and the lies that they've told and they've made. So it's like they don't understand why their viewpoint isn't, like, this is the height of narcissism, and it's something that I don't remember. Like, before 2016, after 2016, we're living in a matrix. And that's honestly, like, one of the reasons people should watch my channel is that if you watch numerous segments, you'll get out of this matrix. I'm not saying it's going to be enjoyable. I'm not saying you won't fall asleep. I'm not saying that I'm not annoying, but I am saying that one of the good things that you'll be able to remove yourself from the matrix and see things from a different perspective. The obsession Democrats have with social media. Sharon, thanks for joining, Sharon. Most intelligent viewer, thank you so very much, Sharon. Greatly appreciated. Valerie Rogers, what do you think Dems are pushing for? Valerie, thank you as always. I hope all is well. Happy, or how to say happy? Have a great weekend. Happy Friday, I guess. CMW, thank you, CMW. Keep up the good work, CMW, as always. Thank you so much. CMW, greatly appreciated as always for your generosity. Valerie, I think CMW and Valerie and Sharon, I think, Valerie, that they're pushing what Democrats are trying to do with social media, whether it's suppression of any doubt that they could be right on a number of topics. They can't back up their viewpoint in a manner that convinces enough people to either, they're petrified that they'll have to actually communicate their vantage point, their political vantage point. CMW, thank you again, as always. They are frightened that even with every possible conceivable advantage, virtually the entire American political establishment, Republicans as well, all the major newspapers, publications, all the major cable stations aside from Fox News, and even Fox News doesn't really back Trump 100%. They are absolutely petrified that you still have 74 million Americans who don't believe them, who don't trust them, who doubt what they say, because they get caught in lies all the time. And what happens is it's become a battle of emotions. CMW, thank you again. They don't want any debate. Mike Flick, thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic weekend, Mike. Thank you so much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Mike, CMW, everybody here, thank you again, Mike. If I said to you that that Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time, and you can't have a different opinion, or LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time, or Giannis, or if you just pick a basketball legend, okay? If I say that, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, you could just, that would be my opinion, my viewpoint. I wouldn't be able to convince you if you had a different viewpoint. Because you love basketball, you love sports, and you have your own vantage point. You have your own opinions. That's the same thing that's taking place in American politics. The difference is that whereas you and I might disagree on Mr. Barlow. Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Thank you. Whereas you and I might disagree on who is the greatest basketball player or football player or quarterback and leave it at that, Democrats can't leave it at that because they believe that they have influence within the American political establishment, tremendous influence. They control a great many institutions. Right now, obviously, the House, the Senate, the Oval Office. Tech companies side with them politically. Case in point, the New York Post account being suspended right before November. I mean, there's many, many examples. They have every conceivable possible advantage. And instead of simply trying to communicate why the Democratic Party is better, why President Biden is much better than Trump, why... Oh, wait, Canadian! What do you think if MSM was completely overtaken by social media? I believe MSM creates a lot of the division and problems that plague society. I actually wouldn't mind at all. I think there should be a mainstream news. Actually, I think there should be mainstream news and social media and sources and different sources of news. I don't believe in suppressing any, aside from like any news source that's advocating a criminal act. That's against the law, but we already have those laws. Oh, wait, Canadian, thank you. CMW, Mike, thank you so much. Oh, wait, Canadian, I think that unless you are already breaking the law and the First Amendment doesn't protect you, so there are already laws preventing false news that could lead to, or fake news that could lead to, a criminal outcome or a tragic outcome from a crime. We already have laws protecting society. I think that Democrats should focus on communicating why they're better than Trump instead of continually trying to suppress information and get social media algorithms or social media companies like Facebook to, silence and suppress and prevent stories from being discussed. They don't want it's better if you are the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. If you have the ability to silence discussion, you've already won. And so what they do with the Arizona recount or recounts like Arizona, they say, "How dare you?" They then create this battle of emotions. They already lost the battle for trust. Okay, people don't trust the Democratic Party and people don't trust media. Generally, most Americans believe that journalists have a political agenda. And it's true, they do. People do not trust media because most of media is overtly in the tank for the Democratic Party. That's not hyperbole. When Michael Wolff goes after Brian Stelter and CNN, that's a little bit disingenuous of Michael Wolff, even though he's 100% right about Brian Stelter. He does the same thing. His books are in many ways the equivalent of Brian Stelter's CNN show. Any book nowadays regarding Trump has this sanctimonious, virtuous, lofty kind of theme. We're giving you the inside scoop on Trump's, catastrophic presidency. Did the man start an endless military campaign? No, that was Bush. Did the man preside over an economic collapse that wasn't of our own making, like a stock market crash or some kind of savings and loan scandal, or like an Enron or like a Bernie Madoff type, financial catastrophe. What did this man do where he's so reviled? Okay, his personality. They don't like his personality. That's the main thing. He didn't work with Russia. They never went after him in a court of law. They never charged him or indicted him for working alongside Russia, colluding with Russia, or pressuring Zelensky, or financial crimes. That's because they've lied. You can't cry wolf every single day regarding Trump and expect people to believe you. You can't do that. Awake Canadian, thank you. It's like here's an example of, okay, so they say the Post, which has more than 700 shares, comes from an inventor popular among who's previously cast doubt on the integrity of results. They cast doubt on the integrity of results forever. That's all they do, is cast doubt on the integrity of results. But it was Brennan casting doubt. It wasn't. What's the difference between James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Adam Schiff casting doubt and a Facebook post? Can anyone tell me what the difference is? There is no difference. Why should I trust a government official more than a Facebook post? Finding out the truth is on me. I have to find out the truth. You have to find out the truth. You have to use basic logic. I have to use basic logic. Basic logic indicates that Trump is not a criminal, that they're lying about him because they've never indicted him or charged him in a court of law. If he was this criminal mastermind, then they would have already jailed him or arrested him or got him in a court of law. He hasn't broken any legal statutes. For 4 years they've been going after him. But then the Post was shared 700 shares. Oh my God. Similar posts on Facebook and Instagram have received tens of thousands of interactions, according to CrowdTangle, a social media insight. You mean there have been interactions on information that isn't true? Oh my God. This could mean that Trump could win based on Russian propaganda. We have such an easily manipulated populace. If they would only do what we want. If they would only do what we want, everything would be fine. If they would only do what we demand of them, which is trust everything we say without any suspicion, everything would be just fine. But no, you have these Facebook posts with these toothless, Trump-supporting conservatives that believe anything. Because they're mindless zombies that only believe nonsense. Not like Trump working with Russia, which is what we believe. So... so that's their vantage point. And technology claims can detect misconduct has been used but Pulitzer told USA Today in an email that he hasn't released, quote, any information regarding our particular findings on. Okay, so they found out that this Facebook post isn't backed by this man's technology, and it could be misleading. So what? Who is that going to harm? Now they're linking everything to the catastrophe, the tragedy that day in January. Well, if you want to link CNN or MSNBC to $1 to $2 billion in property damage, when every single day they were downplaying, according to Wikipedia, 25 lives lost, $1 to $2 billion in property damage. We had curfews in every major city of this country for months, and that was being downplayed. That's an interesting word that media has used to go after Trump. He downplayed things. Well, media downplayed all of the property damage and chaos and mayhem on the streets of this country. Are they complicit? Gee, the people who committed all of those crimes, from buildings set ablaze to lives lost. You think they might have been watching CNN and MSNBC? Or maybe listening to liberal pundits? Oh my God, let's make that correlation and silence liberal pundits. Let's silence MSNBC and CNN because the people who committed so many horrible things watch their show. You'd never get that, would you? Since it began in April, the Senate-backed audit has been plagued by false claims of misconduct. This is a, dramatic, sensationalized way of saying first of all, it hasn't been plagued by false claims of misconduct. They have expressed concerns based on numbers and information they couldn't immediately explain. And by the way, neither could their detractors explain the 74,000 discrepancy either. They just say it's very likely, almost certainly this. Well, okay, fine. Despite the fact that officials have already audited the state's results and found no malfeasance. The previous recounts were 1 to 2% of ballots. The previous recounts did not address the concerns of Arizona Republicans. Biden beat Trump in the state by more than 10,000 votes. Okay, well, the Republicans don't believe. And so that's so the recent claim, the latest outgrowth of misinformation. While the origins, this is the thing, while the origins of the 74,243 number is unclear, here you go. They can't explain that number. So this is within the USA Today article. They admit they can't explain the number. Robbie, hello. They admit that. David, hello. David Von Kettering, hello. They admit that. It's right here. So this is actually very interesting because usually these fact-checking articles don't really admit. So while the origins of the 74,253 number is unclear, county officials say the claimed disparity between those cast and those sent by mail has to do with how it counts the early numbers. Well, that's what the county is saying. It is not proof of widespread misconduct, of which there is no evidence. Okay. It's this continual fanaticism. Just lets you know. There's nothing. That number was explained by county officials. And of course, there's no evidence of misconduct at all or widespread misconduct. And but just to let you know, we don't know exactly how the number was derived, but, it's almost certainly what the county says it is. And so any question as to the official results completely disregard the fact that we called Trump illegitimate for 4 years and we blamed Russia for installing him and taking a giant you-know-what on our precious democracy. Completely forget about that every single day for 4 years, accusing him of everything under the sun without actually going to court because they couldn't prove anything. This is just uncalled for. In Maricopa County, there were nearly 450,000. Claims misconstrue early numbers. So the Facebook post makes it seem like any disparity is evidence of misconduct. But officials say that's not the case. Well, who cares what officials say? Who cares what officials say? You have to litigate this or prove it in a court of law. That's where this is heading to, ladies and gentlemen, a court of law. There are bizarre anomalies that the Democrats could be right. Democrats could be right. Carl Stevens, thank you, Carl. Hope all is well. Carl Stevens, thank you. Have a fantastic weekend, Carl. Thank you. Thank you very much. They could be right. Democrats could be right. But see, you're only dealing with one county, and you're also dealing with bizarre anomalies that could have been systemic issues. See, if you have one paper cut, well, that's one thing. If you have 10,000, that's a whole different story. We have 74,243 where there's no clear record of them being sent. That's what Doug Logan, CEO of Cyber Ninja, said. However, Logan, as well as social media posts parroting his claims, appear to have, not categorically have, appear to have erroneously conflated mail-ins with early votes, which in the county include votes cast in person. Of course, early in person wouldn't involve anything being mailed. In response, the county published a Twitter thread. It's not unusual, the county says, that we would have more early than mail-in sent. Okay, so it's not unusual. It's not a categorical claim. If I said, well, where's my car? I just parked it here. Well, it's not unusual for people to forget where they parked. No, I have a picture, literally, of my car here. Do you know where it is? I think it's stolen. It's not unusual for, people to forget where they parked their car. I know you said that already, but where's my car? It was right here. It's not unusual for the city to tow a car. That happens. Look at the sign. It's not. These aren't the times. It's not unusual. It's not unusual. they need like who's it? Tom Jones. They need. It's not unusual to. It's not unusual. Is not a categorical claim. Carl, thank you. Thank you again. It's not unusual. It's not a claim that debunks. All they have is, well, we trust the county, and here's this likely explanation, and this explanation is more believable than the doubt. See, there's no reason for doubt. They are petrified of emotion. If, let's say, Republicans found that there was some widespread misconduct within that number, the rebuttal would be, okay, so it happened, but that's not everywhere, and they'd move on. It is suppress any doubt. If caught in the act, acknowledge, and then simply say, well, you're not going to change things because, this didn't happen everywhere. The county said the two types of files Logan cited during the briefing aren't the correct documents for determining how. Okay, Again, that is not our rating. We rate the false claim that more than 7. We rate it false because the county and other observers have stated it is likely this. The claim erroneously conflates this. How do you know? You haven't stated categorically the claim erroneously conflates anything. You've stated that other people believe that's the case. Maricopa County has said there were fewer mail requests and there's no evidence of widespread misconduct. This is pure propaganda. The way it's all of these fact checking, it's pure propaganda. The Democratic Party could be right. Republicans could be wrong. But simply say, first of all, it's not a fact check because you've yet to present any facts. An explanation or a rebuttal is not a fact. It's not a fact. You're talking about a complicated system where throughout the country, there have been examples of bizarre things taking place. or human error or clerical error or computer errors. So there is a track record of, bizarre, issues. You can't simply say this is a fact check. You can't say it's a fact check when you are simply pointing to a rebuttal. A rebuttal in an ongoing debate, like if you debate somebody on a stage and you issue a rebuttal or you try to refute their claim with claims of your own, that doesn't mean you've won the debate. That doesn't, debates usually last a long time, they could last hours. It's not just like, well, you know what, here's my statement. I issued a counterpoint, therefore I've won. That's not the way life works. It's not the way life works. Shane, hello. Indy Wood! H.A. Goodman, have a joyous weekend. Thank you so very much, Indy. You have a joyous, fantastic weekend as well. Thank you, Indy Wood. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it, Indy. Thank you. Indy Wood, greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As always. So, Indy and everybody here, have a fantastic weekend, Indy. Thank you. There's nothing in here that is a fact check. This is a rebuttal, and it offers the viewpoints of county officials and a Twitter thread. We have no clue if the county officials are absolutely correct. They've given a plausible explanation. However, we do not know if the plausible explanation is even likely. We certainly don't know if it's 100% accurate. And then there's no evidence of widespread misconduct. Well, that actually isn't the claim pertaining to the 74,000 number. We rate false. So, at the end of the day, what Democrats and media have done is they've taken truth, they've taken the word fact, and they've altered the definition to, well, here's why we believe you shouldn't be suspicious at all based on the viewpoints of people who have offered a rebuttal or a different vantage point from the absurd claims found in a Facebook post. That is not a fact check. But there you go. Indy Wood, thank you again. Ralph Lowe. It's like, this is like, and actually this was one of the more honest, this USA Today article was one of the more honest articles. Because they were basically saying, well, we don't know exactly where that number was derived from. They basically said that. We don't know where exactly the number was derived from, but we can't tell you exactly where the number was derived from, but Then you have, here's an example. You have the issue with Falsey. Where he's like, the funding never went to combine Moreau. When we were funding the island of Dr. Moreau, Indy, thank you again, we gave the money to use for the electricity, not to combine a scorpion and an elephant. That never happened. That absolutely never happened. So that's pretty much yes, the baseless theories like he worked with Russia. I was misled to believe that he didn't work with Russia, which, by the way, he didn't, so that was a tinfoil hat theory on the left. What a horrible thing it was that we believed him. He didn't work with Putin to be installed. Which, obviously, he was telling the truth, which, I mean, who would believe that he was, working with Russia? Come on. You look, and it's like you look and it's like you can't really understand media without understanding that there's a battle for emotions. This is about emotions. How dare you not trust us? How dare you cast doubt on our victory in the same manner that we cast doubt upon yours? Or we had every right to be suspicious of you because we had people we trust like Brennan and Comey and Strzok and McCabe and the New York Times and the Washington Post making baseless allegations. Well, the allegations actually weren't baseless because they were based on the suspicion of very qualified people. So, at the end of the day, we actually were telling the truth. Well, you know what? Because when Peter Strzok has a book out and Andrew McCabe and they say that Trump was the greatest obstacle to democracy, well, we have to take that seriously. Why? Because these are individuals in positions of authority that we agree with. So therefore, it's not baseless. See, they can say that Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster exist based on a hunch or a feeling or a high confidence assessment in an ODNI report or a Steele dossier, and we can believe that because, we believe their high confidence. Of course, high confidence does not mean the claim is rooted in any fact or direct evidence, but we're just going to investigate Trump. And by the way, it doesn't take 4 years to investigate Jerry. Let's see. Is there any way Eric or Luke or anybody here, Jerry brought up a great point. HA, I can't get this live stream on my TV, only on my phone. I use my phone to mirror to my TV. Is there any way anybody can help Jerry possibly get this on his TV? That would be fantastic. The Secret Spaceship! Thanks, HA. We need your voice and attitude. Cheers. The Secret Spaceship, I hope all is well. I hope all is well. Cajun, hello. Secret Spaceship, I hope all is well. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much. The Secret Spaceship, I hope all is well and have a fantastic weekend. And thank you as always for supporting the channel and for watching. And I appreciate your support greatly and the kind words. The Secret Spaceship, thank you. This is a battle for emotion, ladies and gentlemen. It's a battle for emotion. It's just, don't be suspicious of us. We have every right to be suspicious of you. And if you dare cast any doubt on anything to do with our victory, you are a horrible human being. That's really it. They can't even run a functioning primary, so that's one reason why people don't trust them. So, the secret spaceship, thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, to the super chat, thank you so very much. It's greatly, 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 greatly appreciated. Yeah, so I mean, these segments, it's like this little series that I've done. That they are petrified. That they are just petrified that information or numbers will be derived, or I should say discrepancies will be revealed that they can't explain. Hey, look at that, Michael Wolff. I'm sure Trump will run for president in 2024. Yeah. Let's look at, this is interesting. So Michael Wolff went after Brian Stelter, which he was right, because of this sanctimonious, without this sanctimonious type of morally superior, self-righteous, act. This is interesting. To write 3 books in 4 years about Donald Trump has been an immersion into his obsessions and fixations. Did you mention anything about the Abraham Accords, or being the first president to step foot in North Korea, or record low unemployment, or the fact that he got a greater percentage of the non-white vote than any Republican in 60 years, or definitely a greater percentage than he got in 2016? Did you write about his support for Israel? Did you write about, which I find to be fantastic, I know the left, who constantly claims that they're battling the 1930s and 1940s Germans, while at the same time opposing support for the country I had my bar mitzvah in, which is very typical irrational position on the left. But anyway, did Michael Wolff write about anything good? Oh, it's just his obsessions and fixations. So how is he different from Brian Stelter? I want to know this. How is this man different from CNN? This is why I know the obvious: Donald Trump will run for president again. God forbid 74 million Americans, the secret spaceship, thank you. God forbid, a man who got 74 million people. Okay, God forbid this man runs again after 92% negative media coverage and still getting 74 million Americans. See, when Democrats urge Facebook to suppress posts, or urge Twitter or other social media companies to change their algorithms and silence voices, that's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of weakness, ladies and gentlemen. Weakness. That is a sign of weakness. That is not a sign of strength. That's a sign of weakness. If you are, let's put it this way. If you're playing football and you're on defense and you have 11 men, and you're playing an offense of 22 men, or it's a 5-on-2 basketball game, and you have two people. Your opponent has 5 or 6 people, and you're still almost winning the game. If you have a 50-yard head start and you barely defeat, the person in the 100, okay, you're in a bad position. They have every conceivable possible advantage, and they still are petrified they'll lose. Eric, thank you. This spring is another of his compulsive bids for attention. I actually really enjoy the apoplectic obsession of people like this journalist who have accused Trump of apoplectic obsessions. I actually really enjoy. This is fantastic. And then you got to understand, like, I know people who read this stuff and they're like, this is true. This happens to bolster everything I've always thought. So therefore it must be true. And it's in the New York Times, very prestigious. The New York Times used to be prestigious. Now it's basically a DNC newsletter. This spring, in another of his compulsive bids for attention, indifferent to whether it is good or bad, he hosted me at Mar-a-Lago, even after I had written 2 unflattering books about him. One whose publication he tried to stop for an interview and dinner. You would think that, actually, that's like a nice thing. Trump is trying to reach out to this man. After dinner, I asked about his plans for a presidential library. The traditional requirement project and fundraising scheme of ex-presidents. There was a flash of confusion on his uniquely readable face, and then anger, aroused, I assumed, by the implication of what I seemed to be saying, that his time in office was past. No way. No way. You know, this dinner was somewhat decent. And then you mention this. No way and no way. I'm trying. I can't. It is an existential predicament. He can't be Donald Trump without a claim on the presidency. He can't hold the attention and devotion of the Republican Party if he is not both once and future king. Oh my God! The man can't... Hillary ran, 3 times? What's the problem? Twice? Who cares? My God! The man can't sneeze without, the winds of Hades, the hurricane of orangeness. Indeed, it seemed to be that I was strategically seated in the lobby of Mar-a-Lago when I arrived precisely so I could overhear the efforts by a Republican delegation to court and grovel before Mr. Trump. Wow. This is really good. Oh my God, this is the best. Oh my God. Gilmari, hello. Oh my God, this is amazing. By a Republican delegation to court and grovel. To grovel before Mr. Trump. More than a bit of subsequent conversation with me was about his contempt for any Republican that may be less than absolute in his or her devotion to him. That's how the Democrats run. Except they don't actually, voice their thoughts. You just find out that you've worked with Russia. One day you disagree with them, and then one day you're like, what? Investigation for being a Russian operative? What are you talking about? He seemed not so much paranoid about the challenges to him, but savoring his future retributions. Oh, I'm sure that Democrats never feel this way. He repeatedly returns to his grudge against his once obsequious vice president with radish. Mike Pence has become more public about his own political ambitions in his telling... Obsequious, sorry. He repeatedly returns to his grudge against his once obsequious vice president with relish. Mike Pence has become more public about his own political ambitions. In his telling, it is Mr. Pence whose actions confirmed by his refusal to... I believe he will run again to just stop the men who, in his view, helped take his presidency away from him. And he's trying to create attention. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida has become another frequent subject at Mr. Trump's golf club. The idea that Mr. DeSantis, who Mr. Trump believes he made by his endorsement, I made you, might not accept his dependence on an obligation to Mr. Trump would be a personal affront that must be met. You and me, DeSantis. You and me. So this is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. William Dempsey, hello. Ronald, hello. Can you believe how this is written? This is fantastic. Mr. Trump believes that Mr. McConnell retained his Senate seat. That's not true at all. The battle against McConnell is a battle of who controls the Republican Party. Oh, gee, what a. As you can see, I'm definitely winning. I got 74 million votes all myself. If a candidate wins because of For Democrats, we see him exiled to Mar-a-Lago. Napoleon, like Napoleon at Elba. Or Corsica, no, or, St. Helena. Exiled at Mar-a-Lago. This is great. Conrad Viron, thank you not only for your live streams, but allowing us to participate in the live chat. Conrad, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Conrad, as always. As always, thank you. Thank you. I hope all is well. Happy Friday. I keep on saying happy. I don't know what. Happy Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend, Conrad. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Conrad. Thank you. Conrad Viron, thank you. For Democrats, we see him exiled to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, will he create a continental, battle again? Oh, exiled to Mar-a-Lago. Stripped of his key social media platforms and facing determined prosecutors who just simply can't find anything in a court of law. Gee, funny how that works. Even though we can't find anything to accuse him of or charge him of or indict him of in a court of law because we'd have to maybe prove our absurd allegations. His foreseeable future seems risible, if not pathetic. This is the best! You can't get anything better than this. Conrad Viron, thank you. You can't get anything better than this. William, hello. You can't get anything better than this. But this is Donald Trump, always ready to strike back harder than he's been struck. To blame anyone but himself. To silence any doubt with the sound of his own voice. Wrong. The sound of my voice is soothing to the soul. To take what he believes is his, and most of all, to seize this. Seize this. There's a phrase in the history of the world. All of able attention, sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. Wow, this is really awesome. What just happened? This is great. A foreign agent in Trump's inner circle. Oh my God. Another foreign agent in Trump's inner circle. Funny how the Mueller probe found nothing, but Wonking It Out by Paul Krugman. What inflation risks and my intermittent fasting have in common. Hear me out. Oh wow, this sounds so interesting. I only read the New York Times, and I only socialize with people who are intelligent and educated. With educated people, I socialize. I certainly don't socialize I certainly don't socialize with anyone who likes Trump, because that person would be inherently bad. An inherently bad person. He would be like an H.A. Badman. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Indy, Conrad, everybody here, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless. I will have a live stream again at about 10 p.m. Pacific tonight. So be here at 10 p.m. Pacific tonight, ladies and gentlemen. 10 p.m. Pacific tonight. If you're up at 10 p.m. Pacific tonight, be here for the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. To my super chat, greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. CMW, everybody here, greatly, greatly appreciated. I will be back. Ryder, hello. I'll be back at 10 p.m. Pacific